Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your back porch professor. I hope you've all been having a lovely weekend. We're finally getting some sun here at the end of the day in the Northeast. It's been a very, very rainy summer for sure, but beautiful nonetheless. All right. How many of you have been following what's been going on in the Canadian province of Alberta? How many of you are from Alberta? Put it in the comments. Let us know. We love our fellow patriot Albertans. We got some breaking news here on the latest with the Alberta independence movement. This is huge. The Alberta Prosperity Project, they're the APP, they're the ones who are leading the effort for Alberta independence. They have officially filed an application with Elections Alberta, which is the first official act in realizing a full-fledged independence referendum on the provincial ballot. Now, interestingly, they did this just days after the former Progressive Conservative Deputy Premier Thomas Lukajic successfully filed a competing petition with election officials that would keep Alberta as part of Canada. So the latest here is that we've got an independence referendum officially filed and in the works, but also one that wants to keep Alberta as part of Canada. Interestingly, the two petitions follow different frameworks. And this is largely due to the recently passed Bill 54. And the key with Bill 54 is that it dramatically lowered the barriers to citizen-initiated referendums. So before Bill 54, if the APP, if the Alberta Prosperity Project, wanted to hold a provincial referendum on independence, they would have to garner 600,000 signatures in order for that referendum to be put on the ballot. That's 20% of eligible voters. It's a huge ask. 20% of all eligible voters is like half of those who actually come out to vote on election day. But with Bill 54, they slashed that signature threshold in half to 177,000 signatures, comprising 10% of votes cast in the previous election. And Bill 54 also extends the signature collection period from 90 days to 120 days. So this change makes referendums, according to one study, approximately 70% easier to trigger, right? So, I mean, it's obviously a gift for Albertan independence. So the Alberta Prosperity Project is already benefiting from these relaxed rules, and that's because they just announced they have the signatures. The APP is claiming they've already gathered almost 250,000 pledges supporting an independence referendum. So this application they just filed for the referendum with the Elections Board is the first step. And then the gathering the signatures is the second. And they're claiming basically they've already done both. They've already got both wrapped up. Now, again, what's so interesting is while that's going on with the independent side of the referendum battle, this former Progressive Conservative Deputy Premier's application for a referendum to stay in Canada, it's an earlier application. It was filed prior to Bill 54. So ironically, it's falling under the previous more stringent requirements, necessitating, I guess, nearly 300,000 signatures within 90 days. So the irony here is that the Remainers, as it were those who are campaigning for Alberta to remain in Canada, ironically have more of an uphill battle than those who want to leave. Now, the referendum efforts come amid what Premier Danielle Smith describes as unprecedented separatist sentiment in Alberta. Smith has been holding a number of town halls across Alberta in what's called the Alberta Next panels. And at every single gathering, it's just filled with Albertan patriots demanding independence. According to polling data, 65% of UCP voters, United Conservative Party voters, they're the majority party in Alberta, 65% of the majority party support separation. This is not a fringe. That's a super majority issue within the principal governing party of Alberta. And it represents the single most significant separatist movement in Canada in 30 years, since the Quebec sovereignty movement in the 1990s. Now, here's what you absolutely have to get moving forward with this. You're going to have to remember this when all the polls come out, regarding Albertan separation over the course of the next several months. This is what you need to keep very close to you in all of this. And this is why Albertan independence really does have legs. Scholars have documented how independence referendums consistently generate some of the highest voter turnout rates in electoral history, often surpassing regular elections by dramatic margins. That's what you've got to get in all this. This is why this is a game changer. The reason why this has legs is because if this referendum gets placed on the ballot in the next several months, it will, if passed as precedent, it will generate the largest turnout election in Alberta's history. Independence referendums consistently generate the highest voter turnout rates in electoral history. And that's largely because nothing brings out what are called low prop and no prop voters like independence referendums. We're talking low propensity voters, voters who've only voted in one of the last 4 elections, and no propensity voters, voters who have not voted in any of the last 4 elections. Historically, low to no prop voters come out en masse with independence referendums, and they overwhelmingly favor independence. So these are voters who have just felt completely disenfranchised from the political status quo. And an independence referendum is exactly what they are looking for to shake things up. We saw this most recently with Brexit. More Brits came out to vote for UK independence from the EU than had ever come out to vote in any British election in history. The 2014 Scottish independence referendum, it achieved a remarkable 85% turnout. 85%, far exceeding typical UK general elections. The 1995 Quebec sovereignty referendum, the closest thing akin to Albertan sovereignty, that 95 referendum drew an astonishing 94% turnout, the highest participation rate in Quebec's electoral history. Montenegro's 2006 independence referendum drew an 87% turnout. Again, completely unprecedented. This is the pattern we see over and over and over again, these exceptional participation rates. They reflect several factors unique to independence referendums. Unlike regular elections where policy differences seem incremental, independence referendums present binaries, irreversible choices about national identity and sovereignty. The stakes are existential, determining language, culture, economic systems, international relationships for generations. Additionally, independence referendums, they typically occur after years of decades of political mobilization, creating highly engaged populations, often on both sides, to be fair. So if you think it through, the 2014 Scottish referendum, that followed literally centuries of constitutional debate. Quebec's referendum represented really the climaxing moment of Quebec's provincial nationalism that's been there from the very beginning. So the combination of ultimate stakes, binary choice, and extensive political engagement creates conditions where normal voter apathy disappears. Citizens recognize these are potentially once-in-a-lifetime decisions that will fundamentally reshape their political reality, driving participation rates that exceed virtually all other forms of democratic engagement worldwide. And given how many Albertans feel completely slighted and unfairly treated by Ottawa, in the next few months, we may see an election that will literally stun and change the world. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments section below, especially all of you from Alberta. I would love to hear what you think about what's going on, whether you support separation from Ottawa, whether you support becoming the 51st state of the United States and joining us down here in the Golden Age. Let us know. And as always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button for breaking news and analysis you're not going to hear anywhere else. Love you guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Can't wait for the week together with you. God bless.